Well, hi everybody, welcome to the second video on how to play The Girl from Ipanema. In this video we're going to concentrate on playing a simplified set of chords with the lead line over them, or in conjunction with them. The first chord that we're going to be playing is an F major 7th in the open position. Now this is an F major 7th over A. So we have an open A string, which is our 5th string, and then we have a 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret open. So that's our F major 7th. By the way, I will tab these chords in the comments section below so that you can cut and paste them into another document, print them out if you'd like. The second chord is going to be a G13, a G7 add 13, we'll just call it a G7 13, which you make by barring the 3rd fret and making a G7th chord here, and then adding the little finger into the E position, which is the 5th fret of the 2nd string, giving us a G13. The next chord is a G minor 7th. If you take that 13th note, your little finger, and slide it up 1 fret, and then drop your 3rd, you have a G minor 7th. It's got 2 7ths in it. It's got the 7th on the 4th string, the 7th on the 2nd string, but the 7th on the 2nd string is going to become a lead note, so that's important. And the 4th chord is a C 7th in the open position. It's just a C with the 7th added. So root note is the 3rd fret of the 5th string, so we have 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 1st fret open. Just a C 7th. So at this point, probably the best thing to do is to pause the video and to practice going through this chord progression so that you feel comfortable with it. So when we add the lead part, you already feel comfortable with the chord phrasings. So you just play through these chords a few times until you feel comfortable with those transitions. Now the way I like to approach these kinds of situations is to pick the lead out without playing the chords at first, just to make it as simple as possible. So if you play the F major 7th chord, well, position it but don't play it, and just play the lead notes. The lead notes are G, E, E, D. So that's a 3rd fret on the 1st string, and then open, and then we have the D note, the 3rd fret on 2nd string. So if we hold the F major 7th chord but don't play it, and just play that lead part, just pick that lead part out of it. I know it's hard to position your fingers and not play the chord, but just hold the chord but play just the lead note. And then let's go to the G13th chord and do the same thing. It's the same 3 notes, but we're of course playing it off the bar. So you notice that your 13th note here, the reason why it's in that chord is it becomes a major part of the lead. So, and then we have the G minor 7th, and again that 7th up here is where the lead goes. And we play that note with the little finger, which is on the 3rd string, 5th fret. So then when we go to the C 7th, it's very simple. We just walk the strings down from 1st, 2nd, 3rd string. And then we have an F major 7th, and we play the C note in the F major 7th as the last note. So let me play that through without hesitation, but I will just play the lead part. So you have F major 7th, then a G13th, then a G minor 7th, C 7th, F major 7th. Try playing it like this. practice that a little bit, and then I'll show you how to end the two different phrases with a kind of a transitional chord. So what happens in the two A sections of the two verses, we start with two F chords and we end with two F chords, and then we start the next A section with two F chords and we end that one with two F chords. What this does is it stacks four F chords against each other between those two sections. And of course that's a formula for too much repetition or too boring. So basically what we want to do is throw in another chord at the end of that, which you heard at my little introduction part at the beginning. It's very simple to do because you're in an F major 7th. You've gone from your... Then you just play this chord. And what you do is you take your second finger, slide it up one fret, and drop a bar behind it. So your root note is an F sharp now, and you play your second, third, and fourth strings in that chord. So it's a 4-note chord. It's an F sharp 7th, so it's just like we do in the blues. And if we get too much repetition, we can throw something in there just to up one fret, down one fret, and that's really all you're doing here. You're going from a F major 7th, we're playing it like this, to... Now, at the end of the second A section, or the second verse, before we go into the chorus part, or the B section, the chorus has a little surprise to the listener. It's subtle, but it's a key change. What we do is we go from an F major key to an F sharp major. So we don't want to do this transition when we go into the B section, because we will give away our little surprise. It's kind of like opening our Christmas present before Christmas. So what we have to do is we have to think of something else, and what we'll do is we'll play an F 13th, because just like our G 13th, it's got a really nice jazzy sound, full sound. Sounds like you're changing chords, but you're really just augmenting, or you're just embellishing your F chord that you were already in, your F major 7. And in order to do that, again, it's simple. If you look at what fingers are changing and what fingers aren't changing. These two fingers right here in your F major 7th, your second and third fingers, are going to stay right where they are. This little finger is ready to drop right in behind there on the second string, 3rd fret, and then you go up and hit your bass with your first strings. So try making that transition. It's a nice transition. You're going from an open F major 7th to an F 13. So at the beginning of the ending of the first A section, at the end of the second one, like that. Okay, good. So that brings us to the chorus, or the B section. As I said before, we have a key change going into the chorus from an F to an F sharp. And the first chord that we're going to play in the B section is an F sharp major 7th. The F sharp is the 2nd fret of the 6th string, and then the other 3 notes in the F sharp major 7th are going to be played on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fret. So root it with your second finger and then use your 1st, 3rd, and 4th to play the rest of that F sharp major 7th. The second chord is an F sharp minor 7th. Now we're going to play 4 notes again, this time the same root, but this time we're going to play 2, 3, and 4. And in this case we only need a bar. We don't need anything else to make an F sharp minor 7th. Now the minor 7th based on the 6th string root is used a lot in jazz and bossa nova, and there's a much more convenient way to play it. Basically you can take your second finger and root the chord with your second finger, and then use your third finger, flatten it out, and play those middle three notes like that. What that does is allow these fingers to prepare you for the next chord, which is very convenient sometimes. Sometimes you might have to go to a fairly complex chord following this chord, and you can at least get one of your fingers in position so that you can anchor that chord and go into it more quickly. In this case, we're going to go from a F sharp minor 7th to an F sharp minor 6th, and what's going to change is one note on the 4th string. It's going to go from the 2nd fret to the 1st fret. So what we can do is we can play the F sharp minor 7th and position this finger on the 1st fret of the 4th string, waiting to shift into that minor 6th. And it's very easy then to shift in the minor 6th. The 2nd finger continues to hold down the root, and then in the minor 6th we have the 6th string, 2nd fret, skip the 5th string, then we have 1st fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret. So that's your minor 6th. Now what's nice about this is that we're going to move this into three different positions, that being the first position. The second set of chords are going to be used in the 5th position on the 5th fret, and we play exactly the same chords. Then we just slide it up one note, and this follows the lead. If you recall from the first video that the lead did this. Now, speaking of lead, up to this point we've been pretty good about playing the lead fairly accurately. At this point though, in the chorus, it gets a little more difficult to play the lead without breaking up the nice ring that the chords have. You know, we've been able to play the lead and allow the chords to ring out nicely. So what we're going to do in this case is we are going to set the listener's expectations in a certain way that it sounds like we're playing the lead, although we're really not. So instead of playing, we're going to play. So we're going to delay that. We're going to delay that a little bit so that it's just time to change chords and go into the next chord. So it sounds just like an interpretation. Like that. Now to end the sequence, we're going to go to an A minor 7th here on the 5th fret, and we're going to bring in a lead note up here on the 7th fret of the 1st string, and we're going to just play that, and then we're just going to have an open down to the bar to the 5th fret, and then just walk that down into an arpeggio. It's kind of just however you want to do it. And then we have a D9th chord based on a root on the 5th string, 5th fret, 2nd finger, and then you have your 1st finger on the 4th fret, and then 5th fret, 5th fret. So it's 5, 4, 5, 5. And then we have a diminished 7th. Really what's happening is this note here on the 2nd string is just moving down one fret. Can you hear that? But in order to do that, we really have to jump through a lot of hoops. We have to switch our fingering all around. This finger right here basically remains the same place, but everything else moves around it. So again, we have a A minor 7th with a B down like that, and then a D9th, and then a diminished 7th. Now we do the same thing again with a G minor 7th, and again C9th, and then a diminished 7th, and we're right back into our last A section. Okay, good. So we're up to the last A section. And if you will remember when we played the single note lead in the first video, we played the last A section a little bit differently at the end, isn't it? It went up to like that. So let's simulate that. We don't necessarily have to play that note for note, but we want to give that feel of that ending to this sequence that we're doing here. And the way we do that is when we come to this G minor 7th, we come up to a higher note here in the lead. Instead of playing the lead off of the 7th like that, we're going to play it off the A like that. But instead of going up here and catching that high note, we're going to just go ahead and transition back down to the C 7th with the lead in the open E string like we were before. So it's going to go like that. So it gives a nice, graceful, it gives a little bit a different feel, but we don't have to jump through hoops and change our chording position, learn a new chord to come up here and catch that high note. We can keep the same chords that we were using and still give the impression that we're playing a different ending. So that's basically the whole song, except for a couple of parts which I'm going to show you in the next video. Those parts are going to be an introductory part, like this. Goes right into... Works really nice. And then another little bit at the end where I can show you a few things, real simple ideas of how you can transition out of the song at the end. And this C 6-7, excuse me, the C 6-9 chord is a chord that's used a lot in bossa nova to either phase out the end of a song or to mark the beginning of a song, or very many other things. So we can use some variation of that in the song, and I'll show you that in the next video. So anyway, thanks for sticking with me, and I hope that you find this interesting. This is a very convenient way to play Girl from Ipanema. There's not very many times where the lead and the chords work together as well as they do in this song. So I hope that you enjoy playing this. And I'll see you in the next video.